Albert was an elderly man. He lived alone and liked to stay at home without anyone bothering him. The only activity he genuinely enjoyed, when he was in the mood for it, was reading his books. He used to go to the supermarket in his town to buy what he needed, but he didn't talk to anyone. He didn't say good morning to the attendants and didn't look at anyone in the neighborhood, even if they tried to say hello. It's always been like that since Albert lost his wife and children in a serious car accident. He didn't see happiness in the world anymore. He was hopeless of finding a new love or something that would make him have faith in life again. Albert kept remembering the moments of the accident when he drank alone at home and complained, a habit that for him was a routine. He no longer cared for his house or bothered with housework or other day-to-day duties. Sometimes he turned on the TV to try to distract himself, but he always ended the days in the same way. On one of his morning days, Albert drank more than he should have. He was very ill that day. His house was filthy. He felt a horrible emptiness inside and an absurd desire to do anything to stop his sadness. He decided to take his car and drive through the city streets to try to distract himself again. He entered a bar, had a few more drinks, and got in the car, heading to the next destination. He didn't know what it would be. It was very dark and raining heavily that night as Albert continued to drive. He was very drunk when, again, the images of the accident with his family came into his mind, causing him to lose control of the car and hit a pole. After a few minutes, Albert opened his eyes and realized he was on the bridge where the accident with his family had happened. He headed towards the edge of the bridge, intending to commit a terrible act, endangering his own life. When he was almost reaching what he believed to be his last moments, he heard a voice in the background, screaming. It was a woman screaming, "Stop! Don't do that!" He began to feel his pressure drop, and his body collapsed to the ground in a faint. When he opened his eyes, there was Lucy. It felt like a surreal dream. Immediately, he remembered him and Lucy when they were teenagers. She was his first love. Albert felt his chest tighten, but it wasn't from sadness, but from emotion. Lucy was also shocked by that meeting and smiled at Albert, saying that he couldn't go ahead with his plans because he would have to buy her coffee the next day. She helped him up and drove him home in her car, leaving a paper on the table with her phone number on it before she left, so he could call her. At dawn, Albert woke up with a feeling he hadn't felt in a long time. He thought that meeting the night before was a dream, but he found Lucy's number on the kitchen table and promptly called her. She answered, and he got emotional when he heard her voice. He didn't understand what he was feeling. He just knew that he needed to find her again. They talked for a while on the phone, as if they had never stopped talking. They still had the same sense of humor and laughed a lot together, arranging to meet at the coffee shop in town. They talked about their lives, and Lucy was worried about him, saying that she was really scared that he was going to do something horrible to himself. They walked through town, and Albert opened up to her, saying he had been sick for a long time, that he had lost his wife and children and hadn't been happy in years. He looked at her and said that meeting her again made him feel hopeful, and they embraced with emotion. They started doing different activities together. They had dates at the lake, where they could talk about everything in their lives. They went to the beach, an old common love they shared. They dined in restaurants, and as they spent time together in each other's company, they felt deeply in love again. They decided to take a trip to a place they have always wanted to visit since they were teenagers, a coastal town close to where they lived. They got on a plane and headed to their destination. Lucy couldn't imagine what Albert's plans were. He was planning to ask her to marry him. They arrived at the hotel and spent a wonderful night together, just like the others. And the next day, they woke up early to visit a beautiful beach. Albert made the marriage proposal, and Lucy felt one of the greatest emotions she's felt in her life. Her old love was in front of her, asking her to marry him. They were very much in love, and Lucy accepted the request with a sweet kiss. After a short time, they finally got married in a beautiful ceremony and started their new dream of growing old together. They bought a new house and decorated it the way they wanted. They adopted a beautiful dog and made countless other dreams come true together, supporting each other in everything they did. Albert, who was retired, began to put into practice an old passion he had, of writing stories. He was passionate about books and writing from a young age, and Lucy encouraged him to follow this path, helping him publish his stories and become a great writer. On the other hand, Lucy also started a new challenge with Albert's encouragement, something she had also wanted to do since she was young. She wanted to be a cook. She finally felt inspired to follow her dream, and so she did. Nowadays, they live very happily, work with what they love the most, and know that they can always count on each other's support and encouragement, no matter what happens. This story is really amazing. Who could predict that after so much pain and so many years, it would be possible to find an old love and still make so many dreams come true? This is concrete proof that we must never lose faith and hope for better days, even if sometimes it takes a while. If you know any similar stories, write about it in the comments, like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fantastic stories.